Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Ba la da da la da da. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi 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 ho, hi ho. How y'all doing today? How are all my 19 people in the house doing today? Eli, why don't you talk about technology anymore? Why don't you talk about important subjects in technology anymore? Eli, you just talk about nobody wants to hear about politics, Eli. They all want to hear about important things in technology. Okay, so I'm going to do a video talking about ARM getting sold. Probably one of the most important things to happen in technology for the next couple of years. And I currently have 12 concurrent viewers. I currently have 12 concurrent viewers. Sigh. Sigh. Oh me, oh my. Oh me, oh my. I should be talking about Mayor Lightfoot. Mayor Lightfoot, or Trump, or Biden, or anything else in the world. Anything else in the world. And more than 12 people would be watching. Anyways, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? I do question myself every once in a while. I question myself every once in a while about why do I bother? Why? Why do I bother? And then I got a $5 donation. I got a $5 donation in the middle of the night. Well, not really the middle of the night, 4 hours ago. But anyways, from Filippo Toso. So you sit there and you ask yourself sometimes, why bother? Why actually be honest? Again, as an Aspie, you have to understand, as an Aspie, it's very difficult to lie. Again, lying is just a pain in the ass. It takes way too much energy. It takes way too much energy. It's like, I would have to care enough about your feelings to want to go through the effort to lie. I just don't care about your feelings. So it's hard to lie. But again, you have this whole thing where you're like, do I even bother? Do I even bother? Come here and try to explain reality. And then you get the donations. Then every once in a while you get the donation. And you're like, God damn it. God damn it. Filippo Toso for $5 US. 4 hours ago. The idea of building a gatekeeperless math program has struck me. I'm from Italy. My son is out of school since late February. The teachers have done almost nothing in terms of remote schooling. I'm going to start recording math videos for third graders. And then, you just get a comment like that. You just get a comment like that. You're like, how can I stop? How can I stop? Because I think that's a big thing. I think that's a big problem right now. I think that's the big problem. Is everybody's like, somebody needs to solve this problem. Eli, there are problems. Somebody needs to do something about it. And it's like, well, you could grab your smartphone and start creating math classes for grade schoolers. You could do that. Or you could complain. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see. I have touched an Italian's heart. I have touched an Italian's heart with my little brain tongue. My little brain tongue snuck out and touched an Italian in the place where the sun don't shine. So that'll be curious. So again, I see that kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, I guess it's worth it. I guess it's worth it for a little while longer. I always think about that. Like, one of the reasons I don't lie to you, one of the reasons I don't bullshit, is I think a lot of people out there don't really have the concept that people listen to them. It's kind of fascinating. It's fascinating to me. How many people talk? They talk, and you can see in their eyes, you can see in their dead fucking eyes, that they don't actually think anybody in the world is listening to them. So they can say the stupidest shit in the world. They can say the stupidest shit in the world. They can just flap those gums. But to them, it doesn't really matter because they don't think anybody's fucking listening to them anyway. I think about that because I always worry that people are listening to me. I think about back when I was in the Army. So I was in the Army at the end of basic training. So at the end of basic training, the Army has given you all of this equipment to go to basic training. They've given you canteens and they've given you ponchos and, I don't know, sleep sacks and I don't know, all kinds of gear. They gave you all this gear. And then at the end of basic training, you have to hand all this gear in. And supposedly, if you don't hand the gear in, they are going to bill you. And here's the thing. Privates with under 6 months service in the Army, like, make significantly less than minimum wage. You're going out there and getting the shit beat out of you every day, and you're making significantly less than minimum wage. And so the thought of your significantly less than minimum wage having more money taken from you is just a bit painful to swallow. But anyway, so one of my buddies in basic training was this Liberian guy. He was an interesting story. He literally joined the U.S. Army to escape the Liberian Civil War. Whenever you think the U.S. is screwed up, just think of my buddy literally joining the U.S. Army to fucking escape the Liberian Civil War. I was like, why are you? Because he was from a very prominent family in Liberia, and very well spoken. I mean, it sounds horrible to say, but well spoken, educated. Like one of those great guys. You like one of those people you meet, and you're like, why the fuck are you in basic training? I know why I'm in basic training. I know a jackass over there is in basic training. Why are you in basic training? You are well educated, well spoken. You should be doing something better with your life. And he was like, well, I'm from Liberia. Like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? We are currently going through a civil war. And so since my father is a prominent official in Liberia, he was able to get me into the U.S. Army. And you just sit there like, fuck, how fucked up is that? How fucked up is it in order to avoid a civil war in your country, you join the military of somebody else's? Anyways, good guy though, good guy. So we get all the way to the basic training, and we got to hand in all our crap, and somebody had stolen a lot of his stuff. Right? So a lot of people lose stuff during basic training, and so they go and they steal the Liberian guy's stuff. Very metaphorical. Anyway, so the Liberian guy's like, fuck, right? Like a quarter of his gear is just gone. It's just gone. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm talking with him, and I look around. I'm like, well, hey man. And, there's no serial numbers on any of this shit, right? So if you simply find all of the pieces of equipment that you're missing and you turn it in tomorrow, then you won't get billed for it, right? He's like, oh, I don't know, what do you mean? It's like, well, there's a lot of people around here, man. They're not paying attention to their gear, so just pick some shit up. Pick a canteen up here, pick a, was it K-tool, P-tool, K-tool, or whatever it is over here. Just fill out your gear. He's like, oh. I think it's funny, like with real Africans, you just make their eyes so fucking big. Like, oh, I can't do it. Like, it's almost like blackface. But it's the funniest thing in the world. Like, the eyes get, like, really big. Like, oh. And again, I liked him. I adored him. He's a wonderful guy. Anyway. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. He's like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm like, come on, man. People are fucking with you. Fuck with them. Because that's how the U.S. Army works. Anyways. So I always think about this story. When I'm saying things. And this is one of the reasons why I come out here and I just say what I actually mean. So I'm out there, and of course I'm paranoid as shit. I'm the kind of motherfucker telling other motherfuckers to steal shit. So I get what assholes are in basic training. So I'm out there, and we had these, we did big garbage cans. So like to wash some of our gear is a pain in the ass. You fill up these big garbage cans full of water and like bleach. And then you just dunk your shit, and then you put it out in the sun to dry, right? So a lot of people in basic training, they dunk their shit, they put it out in the sun to dry, and then they walk the fuck off, which is stupid. So I dunk my shit, I put it all out. I go up to a tree, and I do one of the classic military maneuvers. Oh, I may have only been like, what was I? I was like 18, 19 years old. I may have only been 19 years old, but I understood the classic military material. So what you do is you lean yourself up against a tree, right? And then you put your hat down all the way until it's about to your nose, and then you kind of kick back like this. And then you just rest yourself. And so it's actually very resting. It's very relaxing. At the same time, it makes people think that you're asleep, right? So they're going to look around. They're going to see some soldier over here just taking a little bit of a nap. And so they're gonna do what they're gonna do, right? So I'm just sitting here. I was kicking back up against a tree, letting my gear dry. And I see my little Liberian friend. He's running around. And then he like gets to like the middle where the area was. And then I see him like look left. And I see him look right. I'm like, what the fuck's that guy doing? What the fuck's he doing? And then he like wanders over here. And he like looks at some stuff over here. And he's like, he like shakes his head. I'm like, what? And then he like comes over here, right? And then he looks down. And he looks to the left. And he looks to the right. And then he like picks up my poncho. He picks up my poncho. And he puts my poncho under his arm. He goes another couple of feet. He looks to the left, looks to the right. Goes down, grabs there's like this little canteen case that you put on your gear. Picks up my canteen case, puts it under his arm. Then he's like looking around, and he's like going down to grab something else. And I'm like, motherfucker, what the fuck are you doing? Motherfucker, when I told you to fucking steal people's shit, I did not fucking tell you to steal my goddamn shit. And you see this like, see Liberia go, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I knew this was a bad idea. Oh, motherfucker. I'm like, God damn it. Damn it. When I said steal somebody's shit, I didn't mean steal my shit, motherfucker. So I always think about that story. When I give people advice. Like the whole concept of what if somebody actually fucking listens to you? What if the words coming out of your mouth in fact go into the ears of somebody else, and then they decide to do the stupid ass shit that you told them to do? So anyways, I just find this to be an interesting thing. So it's interesting. So now we're going to have Filippo Toso. Filippo Toso is going to start recording math videos for third graders. Yay! My dad is an important official, so he basically got me a McDonald's job in the U.S. to escape the Civil War in my country. Yeah, no, getting in the army was fun. He was going to the officer corps. He was going to do well in life. He was going to do well. I have no doubt that Liberian is probably doing much better in life than I am. Yeah, no, he was going off. The officers go through the same basic training in the Army, or at least for us they did. We had a number of people that were going to OCS after basic. And so he was one of those. He was going to OCS, and then he was going to a particular, I don't know, is it MOS for officers? I don't know what it is for officers. It's MOS for enlisted, military occupational specialty. So let's just say, how should I put this? How should I put this in a politically correct fashion? The MOS for officers that he was going into will probably be very useful in an African country. Let's just say he wasn't going off to be a grunt in the army. I don't, but I just thought it was funny. The concept of trying to avoid a civil war by joining our military. Anyways. Still remember that guy. Oh. God damn it. Put my shit down, motherfucker. Damn it. So anyways. Is China buying ARM? I don't know. We are going to find out who's going to buy ARM. So ARM is apparently getting sold. So this seems to be Sun Microsystems Redux. And so what I mean by Sun Microsystems Redux is, remember back in the day when Sun was a major player? Probably many of you watching this show don't. Some of you were probably not born when Sun was a major player. So Sun was a major player back in the day. They built Unix workstations. So I mean, we're talking about like Windows 95, 98 era. And so they built Unix workstations, and so I think it was a Spark processor. Was Spark theirs? They had Solaris, so Solaris Unix was their operating system. I think it was Spark was their CPU. I only touched a few of the things in my entire life, and they were a big, prominent player, right? So into the early 2000s, Microsoft starts gobbling things up, because you have to remember in the 90s. So in the 90s, basically, Microsoft had their operating system, but nothing else was that really that successful for them. Office at the time sucked. Again, wait till version 3. They were still in version 2 in most of the 90s. So Office really wasn't that good. Web browser, Internet Explorer wasn't that great. Right? There was a lot of things that weren't that great. But going into the 2000s, Microsoft really got their shit together. They had a good browser. Office was good. Operating system, client operating system, server operating system was good. Active Directory was actually doing pretty well at that time for them. And so Sun had been competing basically on like a pure brute strength kind of. Our workstations can push out more than a Windows workstation could. And so they started falling behind. And so they still had money. They still had a pot of money. And so they were in the interesting position of being a company that was starting to fail, but still had a shit ton of money. So think of Yahoo circa, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, right? Yahoo was failing, but they still had a shit ton of money. That's how Sun was back in the early 2000s. And so what they decided to do is they decided to go out and they were going to become the open source company. So they went out and bought all the open source projects, which at the time seemed like a good idea, right? They already owned Unix. So they went out and they bought OpenOffice, and they went out and they bought MySQL, and they went out and they bought, I think they bought VirtualBox. They bought all these really significant open source projects, and we were all excited about it. We were all like, yay! All of these open source projects now have a daddy warbucks to keep them going. Until the point in time that Sun Microsystems really started failing, because the problem was nobody really gave a shit about the open source software. Like, they had spent all this money for all this open source software, but there wasn't actually a lot of money in the open source software. So they kind of bet the farm on a bad dog, on a bad horse. So anyways, so after this, then Oracle comes in. Oracle comes in. The worst company in the world. Oh, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see like the noobs, right? The noobs in the tech world. The noobs in the tech world, right? They complain about Apple, or they complain about Google, or they complain about Microsoft, right? Because that's all they know. That's all they know. They don't know enough to complain about the real assholes in the tech world. You want to talk about the real assholes in the tech world? Oracle. Larry motherfucking Ellison. He's a fucking bastard. Oh, he's a bastard to put bastards to shame. Anyways, and so we were all sad because all of this open source software had been purchased and bundled up into Sun Microsystems, and then Oracle comes in, buys Sun Microsystems, and then just starts fucking with people, which was just ever so lovely. And so that's where I'm getting concerned now about SoftBank becoming Sun Microsystems Redux. Because we're basically starting to see a lot of the same things. So SoftBank had their Vision Fund. They went out there. They bought companies. They invested a crap ton. So they bought ARM. They invested a shit ton in Uber. They invested in a lot of these WeWork, a lot of these tech type companies, and they're failing. And they're failing. So now we have major tech corporations in play. They just frankly shouldn't be in play. These are not companies that should be in play. It's like saying Intel is in play or Qualcomm is in play, or you know what I'm saying? Like, think about the major tech companies that actually make our modern world work, and then imagine if they were in play. And that's what we're getting to now. So this isn't clickbait. To be clear, it'd be pretty shitty clickbait if it was, because, I'm up to 79 users now, or 79 viewers now. But this isn't clickbait. This is actually true. Report from Ars Technica and a lot of other people. ARM is for sale. And NVIDIA's interested. Apple isn't. Who will buy one of the world's most widespread chip designers? And so this should make you shit your fucking pants right now. Because again, this may be even more significant than Intel. You think about all the mobile devices. Again, Intel's been shit for mobile. So you think about processors, and again, you're used to desktop or laptops or that type of thing. But if you actually look at chips going out the door, chips that are actually shipped, ARM might be beating Intel at this point. And they are now fucking in goddamn play because of fucking SoftBank. Can I just bitch about startup companies again? Can I just bitch about startup culture? Can I bitch about Silicon Valley and all this bullshit? Anyways. Oh, hey you. Let's see here. ARM is currently owned by SoftBank Group, a giant Japanese holding company. Previously featured on Ars for buying Boston Dynamics, buying Sprint, buying stakes in Uber and Cruise. SoftBank bought ARM for $32 billion in 2016, and since then, ARM has only gotten more powerful. ARM doesn't manufacture chips, instead, it sells IP based on the ARM CPU architecture in the form of its in-house Cortex CPU designs, or licenses to design whatever you want using ARM's instruction set. In 2016, SoftBank described ARM as its prized possession, with SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son describing it as the center of SoftBank. In the coronavirus era, SoftBank has been hit hard by the tanking valuations of Uber and WeWork. I love how they say things like this. This is what I always love. This is what I love, how they always try to spin this shit. How they always try to spin. Well, in the coronavirus era, it was blue skies. It was blue skies. Uber and WeWork, gosh darn, they were just doing so amazingly well. But then coronavirus came. Yeah, it has nothing to do with these companies were failing for the year before coronavirus. But that's what they try to do. And again, understand words and verbiage and how these jackasses try to fuck with your brain. What they're trying to say is that WeWork and Uber are getting fucked because of coronavirus. They're just getting fucked a little bit harder. They're just getting fucked a little bit harder. It's like they're already getting fucked, and then somebody brought out some whips. But they're already getting fucked before that. But anyways, just again, things to be thinking about with words and verbiage. SoftBank has been hit hard by tanking valuations, along with the bankruptcy of OneWeb, and now it's willing to sell ARM to raise money. As for SoftBank and Apple, Bloomberg says the two firms have preliminary discussions, but Apple isn't planning to pursue the bid. ARM's licensing operation would fit poorly into Apple's hardware-focused business model. There may also be regulatory concerns about Apple's owning a key licensee that supplies so many rivals. Apple's situation is probably the case for most companies with an attachment to ARM. ARM is so widespread that buying it will be a regulatory nightmare, and even the most lenient rubber stamp regulators around the world must shudder at the idea of an existing ARM licensee buying ARM. Apple is famously transitioning its entire Mac lineup from Intel to in-house ARM chips, and it has the cash to buy ARM. Would any government approve Apple gaining that much power over an Android ecosystem, though? Qualcomm is another company closely tied to ARM, but is already a convicted monopolist in many countries thanks to its power over the modem and ARM system-on-a-chip market for smartphones. Google has the cash too, but it already takes regulators nervous thanks to its control over smartphone industry via Android. SoftBank was a great home for ARM since it let the company be neutral. SoftBank didn't make devices or sell chips. Many companies with an interest in ARM would create a huge conflict of interest. NVIDIA is an ARM licensee, but it is not a major competitor in the smartphone industry. NVIDIA's chips are sold on the strength of its GPUs, and the company's biggest design wins are the Nintendo Switch, the AR-focused Magic Leap, and its own NVIDIA Shield Android TV box. With it being mostly shut out of the mobile SoC market by Qualcomm, NVIDIA has started to focus on car hardware. The company's SoC is called Orion and seems exclusively designed for self-driving cars, blah, blah. If NVIDIA doesn't pull the trigger and ARM does prove too big to buy, there are some other options. The original ARM is for sale report mentioned that it is possible SoftBank will ultimately choose to do nothing and figure out a different way to deal with its money issues. The idea of an IPO for ARM has also been floated by SoftBank in the past, and the solution would also solve the regulatory issues. So anyways, I just find this to be like a curious thing and kind of like an interesting thing in this modern world, like the whole capitalistic system. And then to realize, like, so much of what makes our world run is based off of this technology that is in fact actually owned by other companies. Think about this from Apple's standpoint. Can you imagine Tim Cook right now? Can you imagine the bricks Tim Cook may be shitting at this point? You've literally just come out of the Worldwide Developer Conference. You've just said, we are making the biggest transition, one of the biggest transitions in Apple's history. We are going to ARM processors. And then ARM's like, well, We're gonna sell ourselves now. The next person that we sell ourselves to, you get to figure out how to deal with them. I don't know. It's like this weird. It's a weird thing. Wonder what'll happen to ARM. Wonder what will happen to ARM. Uh, and yeah, that's a question. Like, who buys it, and then who controls it, and then what happens with everything. I don't know. Weird stuff. Weird stuff. But yeah, this is the problem with so many of these tech companies. This is one of the things I dislike with so many of these tech companies trying to own everything, or so many companies trying to own everything right now, is they try to own this major stack. Again, like with Sun Microsystems. You had MySQL doing MySQL, you had OpenOffice doing OpenOffice, you had these things doing their things. And then you bring them in how? You bring them into this one company. And then the problem is if that one company then fails, all the intellectual property, all that product, then there starts to become a major question mark on what happens to it because now it's owned by somebody else. Again, that's with I talk about that with Oracle. So when I still had my store, right about a year before I closed up my store, we were starting to look at virtualization. So virtualization was still one of those new. It wasn't a new product, but it was starting to get pushed out more back in like 2008. And I'd been doing a lot of research, and there was a company that I really liked. I forget the name of them now, but they had a really, really fucking good virtualized solution, right? So whenever you deal with virtualization at the enterprise level, at the business class level, you have a management console, and then you have the hypervisors. So the hypervisors go on the bare metal, then the management console goes on a management computer, and especially back then, getting high availability up, getting fault tolerance up was a bit of a pain in the ass. So if you looked at ESXi, I don't know, VMware ESXi. If you looked at ESXi from VMware, if you looked at Oracle Solutions, they had a bit of a learning curve. They were a bit of a pain in the ass. And there's this one company where they had created a very plug-and-play solution for virtualization. So basically, you install the hypervisor onto your box. You plug in some configuration information. And then basically, it's one of those automagically shit happens, right? You put in your thresholds, you put in what you want, and then it just kind of does it. And they sold a lot of product. They sold a shit ton of product to the Air Force. They showed it because again, it was good. Like again, if you're just looking for if you were looking for the robustness, I suppose, of a virtualized environment, but you didn't want a lot. You didn't need a lot of tweaking. It was a good solution. So, anyways, so I've been researching it. I've been looking into it for months. I've been playing around with it, and I was like, "This is a good product. This is a good product. This is the product that we are going to be selling our customers." And I was very excited because, again, like the Air Force had bought thousands of licenses for it. And basically, they were just scaling up. They're going to buy thousands more. So I felt pretty confident with it. All the way up until Oracle bought that company. Oracle literally bought that company and then stopped selling licenses. You can do that. You can do that when you buy a company. It's true. So the motherfuckers literally bought this company, and they decided what they were going to do is they were going to integrate the technology into their Oracle clusters or whatever, their hardware product, and that they didn't actually want to deal with selling the individual product to the customers. So it was like one of those things where anybody who had purchased the product in the past, it was like, you get one more year of support. We are not selling any more licenses. And yeah, have fun. So yeah, you worry about that kind of stuff. The Competent Man for $1. I think Apple is getting played. It looks like SoftBank is selling ARM to cover its WeWork losses, and this sale will pressure Apple to buy ARM at a high or higher price. Apple should have just bought ARM outright at the start, or buy another CPU manufacturer. Yeah, I don't know if Apple's getting played on this one. Again, I think there's a lot of question with Apple actually owning ARM, because that's the thing, right? Like when we talk about Apple making their own chips, that's a bit of a Right, that's a bit fudging it, right? They are building their own chips off of the ARM architecture. And so I think there is a real question from a regulatory standpoint of if Apple purchased ARM. I mean, think about that. ARM runs everything mobile. ARM runs fucking everything mobile. So the minute that Apple purchases ARM, like every single mobile company in the business is going to have knives out to start suing Apple for any fucking thing, right? Because again, like a lot of stuff you have to understand in the legal world. In the legal world, nothing is settled until it goes to court, right? It's always funny to see YouTubers. It's always funny to see so many YouTubers, and they're like things like fair use. Oh my God, YouTubers just won't shut the fuck up about fair use. But the reality is, fair use is in the eye of the court. Um, all the arguments up until it gets to court are just arguments. It's not until the judge actually makes a decision until you have a decision on a particular thing. So that's one of the questions you get into when you have a company, especially that's licensing out. And that's like Qualcomm has gotten into that issue of like these companies. Basically, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to offer licenses at a fair price. Fair price. What the fuck is a fair price? What the fuck is a fair price, right? Is a fair price $20 or 25 cents or $250? Like, what is a fair price? And so I think one of the issues that Apple would get into, especially if they're dealing with ARM, is the whole question of one, if they then start selling the licenses, are they actually selling them at a fair price, right? So basically, if Apple is going to sue Qualcomm for one of their modem bullshit things, will Qualcomm or some other company then turn around and try to sue Apple and say, oh, you were charging us $25 when a fair price is really $20? Right? They can get in that stupidity. And then the other issue that then comes up is the whole question of, are they kneecapping the product in anti-competitive ways? Again, like one of the things you got to think about in business is there's no right answer in business. Right? There's this concept. There's a concept of right answer and a wrong answer. The reality is there's no right or wrong answer in business. There's just decisions. There's just decision points. You look at a decision based off of your values, based off of your priorities, based off of your concerns, based off of your resources at that moment in time. You make a decision, and so again, a lot of decisions may seem very like a good idea now, and literally a month from now it may seem like a stupid idea. Well, if you're only dealing with your company, right? If you're only dealing with your company, again, look at Apple and the butterfly keyboard. I don't know why they went with the butterfly keyboard. Didn't seem like a good idea, right? But Apple decided for some reason they're going to go for the butterfly keyboard, and stupidity ensued, right? Well, imagine if they had a butterfly keyboard incident, but that didn't just affect their products, that then affected Samsung and Xiaomi and every company that was using the ARM processor. And then one of the questions that could be asked is, was Apple using anti-competitive practices to literally fuck like hardware fucking gimp their competition? And so I think that's the big question that they probably just have absolutely zero interest in getting involved in. Again, you got to think about like synergies. Like synergies is about what meshes with your company. So in all honesty, like Microsoft buying ARM, whether it would pass regulatory muster is its own question. But look at it. Microsoft essentially sells licenses, right? It's the license for the server. It's the license for the client. It's the client access license, right? Microsoft is very used to selling licenses. They sell retail licenses, and they sell OEM licenses, and they sell volume licenses, and they sell education licenses, and they have like fucking 15 fucking versions of volume licenses. And that's what they've been doing for 20 years. And so if a company like Microsoft bought ARM, even though it is hardware, so it is different from that standard, the concept of you are essentially creating intellectual property and then you are licensing the use of that intellectual property, I think that actually fits into Microsoft's wheelhouse. Again, whether or not they want to do that, there's a lot of arguments not to, but that actually fits in with their business model. If you look at Apple, It has fucking nothing, nothing to do with their business model. They literally do not want you to install their operating systems on anything that they haven't installed the operating system on, right? They want their operating system and their software and their hardware to be fucking super glued together, and they don't want you to fuck with any of that shit. So I just don't think Apple would be a good owner for ARM. But it does bring up the question again: who will buy ARM, and then how will they run the company? How will they again? Like, what if ARM gets bought by a shitty company owner? What if ARM gets purchased by a company that decides they just want to milk previous IP and they don't want to invest in new IP? It's a hell of a thing to be thinking about, and it is kind of scary. It's like you think about that with there are these certain companies have like taken over industries like Airbus and Boeing. Airbus and Boeing basically own like fucking like 80% of the airplane market. Again, Intel, ARM, and AMD essentially own the processor market. Like certain companies now essentially own their markets. And I think there isn't enough thought that goes into, what happens if those companies go to shit? Where's the social services for intellectual property? Where's the police officers to come into ARM and be like, I'm sorry. This intellectual property has not been treated well. You have been abusing this intellectual property. You've been calling it fat. You have been spanking it behind the barn. That will no longer be accepted. We will be taking intellectual property from you. Kind of an interesting idea. Yeah. How y'all doing? Let's see here. ARM stock is 67. Intel is 50 right now. Yeah, but what's the market cap? It's not just about price. Is there an ARM? Because no. They were saying it wasn't. They had it IPO'd. Is there an ARM stock? Does ARM, Aurora, they're owned. I don't know. What's Intel? What's Intel at? Intel's at 50. Where are they at? They are at a market cap of $214 billion. So anyway, they're much bigger than ARM. So ARM is, what do they say, $32 billion. Intel is $214 billion. So we'll see how that goes. This does not make me a happy camper. Prices for all of this shit should not be this high. This is not where we should be right now. We're going into a depression. Why are all these stocks so high? It really just makes me mad how high these stocks are. Because this is just not a good thing. Look at this Tesla, $1,400 a share. So since the start of the plague, the price of Tesla has over tripled. Does that make a damn bit of sense? Anyhow. ARM is owned by SoftBank. So there's no stock. There's no stock. I'm a software licensing attorney, so I'm getting a kick out of this. I mean, this analysis isn't completely wrong. It would be interesting to read the parties' agreements. I don't. Yeah, it's so weird. I'm a little bit nervous. About ARM getting sold. Because you do wonder, like, or if ARM decides not to continue agreements. Again, like with whatever that was it called Virtual Iron? Anyways, where like Oracle just stopped selling licenses. Like, what if ARM just stopped selling licenses? What if ARM just stopped selling licenses to Apple? That would be a hell of a thing. That would be a hell of a thing. You do wonder that with that, like the modern world too. Think about like asymmetric warfare. So the concept of like with asymmetric warfare is you try to fight wars in a way other than your enemy is going to fight a war. So I talk about that with us in the Revolutionary War. So you had all the British soldiers. The British soldiers would all line up in a row and be very civilized about their warfare, and then we would like shoot them from the woods. Right? It was asymmetric. It was like, well, if we try to stand toe to toe with the British soldiers, we're probably going to get run over. So we're just going to plink your asses from the woods. Successful. And so one of the things I've been thinking about, like with the modern world, is like with China. China now is a real significant. Maybe Russia. But you think about like how much damage could be done. Like you think about that $32 billion. What if, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm just going to put this on the table. I'll slide it across. What if China was able to get a company that the Chinese politicians had some type of control over to get to buy arms? Now to be clear, when we normally think about business, and this is what you have to worry about with asymmetric warfare. What you have to worry about with asymmetric warfare is you think there's a way to use an item, right? You go, okay, this is a Raspberry Pi. So the way that you use a Raspberry Pi is to create a web server or to create a desktop operating system or something like that, right? So somebody doing asymmetric warfare would look at this and go, or I can grab it like this and I can slam your ass in the temple. See, civilized people see this as a computer. Asymmetric warfare people would see this as a damn nice way to kill somebody. We don't allow any weapons onto the premises. Oh, that's fine. I just have my Raspberry Pi. Oh, okay. Da 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 da. Cock. Right. So, anyways, when you think about companies, everybody's focused on profit. Right? The company is all about profit. Needs to try to make profit. Or needs to probably try to make profit, or needs to bring back shareholder value. It's all about money. When you think about companies, it's all about money. Money. Right? So my concern is what if China thinks about ARM the way I think about this little Raspberry Pi case? Like, well, you could use it as a desktop computer, or you could use it to brain somebody. That's what I think about. Is, again, not that a Chinese company would buy ARM. Not that a Chinese company would buy ARM, right? So right now, if a Chinese, specifically a Chinese company, tried to buy ARM, there'd be a shit show. It wouldn't be allowed to happen, right? But what if a company that wasn't Chinese, but somehow was able to take some orders from China, bought ARM? And then, like, what if their only goal wasn't profit, wasn't shareholder value, wasn't long-term growth? But what if it was just to fucking brain the American economy? Like, think about that. What if you have $32 billion is fucking chump goddamn change? Chump change. What if China was able to orchestrate somebody to be able to buy ARM for $40 billion? Look at this guy. This company is going to buy ARM. They're willing to pay a premium. They are going to invest in the technology, right? Now, here's the thing with it. What everybody's thinking. Is, how is China gonna transfer the technology back to China? Don't worry, they've already stolen the technology. They already know what they need to know. But what if you could buy ARM, and then you could put in a leader, and you could put in a board of directors that then just started acting like dipshits? Oh, yeah. So you want to buy licenses to our latest ARM processor? Sure. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we are definitely going to do that. So we will just send you the paperwork ASAP, and then we can see what we can come to. And then like a month later, oh, you haven't received the paperwork yet. Oh, that's weird. I thought we had sent the paperwork out. You know what? I'm going to talk with the secretary. We are definitely going to get that paperwork out to you. Or, you set up meetings. Don't show up to the meetings. Again, like, what if you just had really bad management? What if China bought ARM? And all they did was installed really, 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 really shitty management. What if they installed management that was so shitty it literally put ARM behind by 2 or 3 or 4 years? Like what if ARM has a very promising project, right? So ARM has a very promising project. They're like, look, this is going to be the future of the company, right? We are so confident in this new ARM processor thing that we're developing that this is what we're going to be building the company off of for 5 years. And then what if you have a manager that comes in, a CEO that comes in and says, well, as the new CEO of the company, I've been looking at all the resource utilization, the profit and the loss, and I have decided it is not the best use of our resources to invest in this particular project. We're just going to simply improve upon the processor designs that we've already created. What if you just had people like managers? Like literally, what if China literally bought a company just to fucking gimp the motherfucker? And then again, like if you have ARM, right? If you look at where China's at, with a lot of Chinese technology, right? Chinese technology, worst case scenario is 10 years behind. Worst case. So what if there were just certain ways to just gimp? What if there were certain ways to gimp current market leaders? So that then, well, the best product offering is. So anyways. Things to think about. 32 billion. To cap half of the Western economy for at least 5 years. Greed is driving the market. Look at Intel stock. Its stock is similar to the .com crash. Yeah, I don't know what's driving the market, to be honest with you. I have no idea what's driving the market. The market just doesn't make any sense. Again, like I was showing that the other day with the S&P 500. S&P 500. Like, look at this shit. So you go to 5 years. Look at this. So this right here. So this is February. So this is back when everything seemed normal. It was back when the Wuhan flu seemed like it was just going to be a little bit of a cold, and sky was a limit, right? So for years. For years and years and years, everything's been going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, right? And so that right there is when the sky was the limit. And then it drops. So March, this is when we officially acknowledge the plague. And so between February to that time in March, the value of the S&P 500 dropped by about a third. But look at this. Since then, it's regained almost all of its value. So what the people that are buying and selling stocks are trying to say, is that the economy right now is in almost as good a position as what it was perceived to be before the Wuhan flu. What? We have insane unemployment. We have borders shut down. We have Boeing and Airbus and LinkedIn, everybody doing layoffs. The government's like burning out printers to be able to print cash fast enough. And yet the stock market is trying to say, we're doing, not only are we doing good, we're doing like all-time high good. Doesn't make sense. Eli, I would hate to be playing war games against you. Yeah. Oh. It was kind of funny. I was the Learning Channel. I think it was either Learning Channel or History Channel They approached me. We were talking. We had a few conversations. Back when television was still interested in me for a little while. We had a few conversations about they were going to do. They wanted to do scenarios with breaking into facilities. They want to do scenarios breaking into facilities. And so they're contacting me about being the hacker of the group. Right? So you have the team, the social engineering person and all the other person that was gonna be the hacker. I think they started getting concerned when I started asking how much physical damage could I do? Like, what do you mean? You would be the hacker. It's like, well, one thing that can take down servers? I'm just saying, in my experience, the one thing that can take down digital surveillance systems? Plugging the cable directly into a wall outlet. Hold on a second. Hold on, everybody. I'm hacking the surveillance system. Just give me the car battery. So here's the car battery. Here's the wires. Everybody stand back. Okay. They no longer have any video feeds. I hacked the surveillance system. Oh, I think they got a little concerned with that one. I was like, what? What? You want me to take down a surveillance system, motherfucker? I'm gonna take that motherfucker now. If you want the Eli seal of approval, if you want Eli to say, I am stamping this security system is fucked, give me a car battery. Oh yeah, what do you got? What are you gonna do with the command line? They pull out the computer or whatever. It's like, what do you gotta do with that computer? I'm just gonna play iTunes, listen to some music. Yeah, give me that car battery. Gunk. Okay. Surveillance system is down. It's probably a couple of fires. You might want to be fast because there's probably a couple of fires in there. So, but people don't think that way. People don't think about hacking a system with a car battery. I don't know why it works. I'm saying it does. But yeah, that's like one of the things you have to worry about, like in the modern world, and we talk about that, like modern warfare, and again, is like that's what a lot of countries do, and a lot of people do, is they assume that you will fight based off of how strong they are, right? So basically, you train yourself or you fortify yourself in a certain way. And then in that way, you become almost invincible. And then you assume that the other person is going to fight that way. Again, the Maginot Line in World War II, right? The French spent a decade making these massive defensive fortifications against Germany. And then Germany just went the fuck around. Hey, guess what? Tanks can move from point A to point B. It's a weird thing with military strategy. Do you realize you can't just move a trench? You can't just pick up a trench and move it 30 miles in a different direction. It's a little harder. And it is something we think about, like within the modern world. Like what would real modern warfare look like? And I think this is my concern. Like with Spiceworks. Spiceworks actually pissed me off back in the day. I think they have not been my sponsor long enough. I can say this. So back in the day, Spiceworks is my sponsor. They're my best sponsor. They were a great company. I don't know what happened to them anymore, but they were a great company. And so they invited me out, and I interviewed all their people. So I interviewed their CEO and their CTO, I think their CFO, their head of IT, whatever. They brought me out. I did a 2-hour interview each day. And one of the things that actually really pissed me off is Scott Abel. So Scott Abel was the CEO of Spiceworks. And so we're sitting there, and I'm doing the interview. And so one of the things that I asked him is, I was like, yeah, so what are your counterintelligence capabilities? So at a company like this, what are your counterintelligence capabilities? And I was asking about his counterintelligence capabilities because with Spiceworks, Spiceworks' actual product at their time, their real claim to fame, at least at the time, was network mapping and scanning software. So essentially what you do is you download and install their software many times onto some kind of server type box, right? And then it goes out and it maps your network and gives you a nice graphical interface for the network. And then what they did is on top of that, they built a help desk system and they built all this stuff. So again, if you're dealing with a reasonable size land, so if you're not going to buy SolarWinds, if you don't want to spend $50 an agent license, you could bring in Spiceworks and you could map the network. You could have an understanding of your network. You could have a help desk system, the whole 9 yards. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm just doing me. I'm just asking the kind of questions that come to my fucking mind because I'm a paranoid bastard. And I was just like, yes. So what are your counterintelligence capabilities? Well, what do you mean? What are our counterintelligence capabilities? Well, you're asking all these people to download and install software that literally, specifically maps out their fucking networks. You know, do you have ex-CIA? Do you have ex-NSA? What are you doing to verify that your technology is not compromised? And this is why CEOs generally don't like me. It's like, well, I don't really think that's a problem, Eli. Eli, I think that's just going. That's a little far fetched. And it's kind of one of those points I get to at the interviews where it's like, no, it's absolutely not far fetched. And the fact that you apparently aren't even thinking about this shit only shows you how fucking far behind the curve you are. But I kind of like you people, and I really like getting your money, so I'm going to move on, right? But again, that's the kind of thing to be thinking about, like in the modern world. Again, it was like with Grindr. Like one of the big questions when, was it Tencent? Grindr ended up getting purchased by a Chinese company. And again, that's the whole... You think about asynchronous warfare. It's like, okay, I've got an aircraft carrier, but is there something that you can buy that can take down our communication systems, right? Again, that's the questions with Huawei and all these other stuff. And I don't think there's enough real thinking about that. Again, again with asynchronous warfare. Think about if China was able to put some type of mole into Facebook, and then think about if there was an attack, or think about if there was a disaster in the United States. And essentially, the only goal of that mole, or multiple moles, would be to essentially take Facebook off the line. Imagine if we had a 9/11 incident in the United States, and fucking 3 minutes later, Facebook went offline. Facebook just dropped. Think about the real ramifications of that kind of stuff. And I don't think this is really being considered enough by a lot of folks out there. But I like now basically what again, it's like with China's interesting with this asynchronous warfare is hypersonic missiles. So hypersonic missiles, how fast is hypersonic? Hypersonics in munitions are stupid. Hypersonic missile speed. Hypersonic missile speed. So going a mere 11,400 miles per hour. Hypersonic missiles, right? And so one of the interesting things, like with China, and so the main thing with our military, the main force projection unit for our military are the aircraft carrier groups. And so the idea is you put out an aircraft carrier battle group, and that has an aircraft carrier, which basically is it's an entire air force on one ship. It's got the battleships, it's got the submarines. Like when we put out, battle, it's just an insane amount of munitions, right? And so one of the big things that's been talked about is that China has no, they do not have an air force or a aircraft carrier capability that can compete with our aircraft carriers. And China has basically simply come out and said, we will simply strike your aircraft carrier groups with hypersonic missiles. We will just launch a hypersonic missile at your aircraft carrier. Da-da! And again, it's asynchronous. Well, we have aircraft carriers, and so your aircraft carriers will come after our aircraft carriers. Rawr! It's like, yeah, but what if they just nuke an aircraft carrier? Even without the hypersonic missiles? What if they just launch an ICBM at your aircraft carrier group? Ba-wah-wop. I don't think that was a little Aegis. What do they call it? The Aegis? I don't think that's going to shoot down an ICBM. Yeah, it's kind of things to be thinking about in the real world. Um, let's see here. There are rumors that some hackers have at times penetrated Google's Big Table, basically their database for running search. Yeah, I think it would be. I think it's a question. Well, it was like with NSA. Was it Yahoo? Like NSA put taps on Yahoo's private fiber. I mean, if the NSA can put taps on Yahoo's private fiber, why can't other companies put taps on the fiber? And then again, if you can do something like a tap, if you can do something like a man in the middle attack, I mean, imagine that. Imagine you have your systems replicated, right? So replication, clusters are the big thing in technology. I know everybody thinks it's virtualization, but really it's database clusters. Database clusters is the thing, right? Like imagine though, imagine if you could plant a device on one of the private network lines, and all it did was very slowly corrupt the data that's being replicated. That's it. Like think about this with I knew somebody who was talking about RAID. Again, I hate RAID. I hate RAID with a passion. Unless you're having big storage arrays and you're really doing RAID is a pain in the ass. And he was telling me about one of his RAID stories. And one of his RAID stories, which is the most fucked up story, is so he had mirroring. They had a server, they had a web server, and they were mirroring, right? And so the issue is one of their hard drives actually started getting physical corruption. So it was actually started getting physical corruption. But the smart and the error correction on that hard drive wasn't working appropriately. And so for some reason, the RAID literally started mirroring the fucking corruptions. So this drive was actually physically dying. This drive was actually physically okay. But how the RAID was set up, the RAID started mirroring the corrupted data. And so it's basically fucking worthless. And so again, you think about this. Again, in the modern world, what if somebody could turn on a switch and all the replication that's going on between facilities, what if they could just slowly start corrupting that shit? Curious question. I was told fiber was secure. Yeah, well, you know. Were you told that? Were you told? Were you told something was, yeah, it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Fiber is fiber. All of these things are what they are. Again, if you got enough money. You know, think about like things with fiber and like security. Remember, security is all about money. If somebody has enough resources, somebody can pay enough resources, almost anything can be gotten around. And so, would you be worried about, you know, the local hacking club hacking a main fiber line between Yahoo's data centers? No. But again, you think about the NSA or the CIA, because basically what you can do if you're the NSA or the CIA is you can work at multiple levels, right? So let's say I have a fiber line. So I have a fiber line going between two buildings. I'm worried about the security of the fiber line. And so, if that fiber line drops for some reason, it's very likely I would then go and try to investigate why the fiber line dropped, right? So you got the fiber line, and so somebody to splice into the fiber line, put some kind of man in the middle box on the fiber line, that's going to take the fiber line down, that's going to cause issues for your infrastructure, and so you're going to investigate why that's happening. But think about this. If you were with the NSA or the CIA, you got some money to pass around. I got a little money to pass around, right? Well, if you got a little money to pass around, then basically what you do is you cloak the downtime into something that makes sense, right? So like if it's me, a fire is mysteriously some jackass teenage firebugs apparently started a fire near one of the electric transformers for the area. So, out of an abundance of caution, BG&E or the utility company is going to turn off power to the area because they're worried about damaging the electricity lines. Then when the power for that goes down, you can do things like get your little NSA person to go in, clip some shit on. It's down, it's obvious. Oh yeah, did you hear? Oh goddamn those kids, those firebugs, whatever else. You put your thing on, you walk away, everything comes back up again. There is a completely rational reason for why the systems went down during this period of time, and so you're not going to do any investigation, right? You know, that kind of stuff. But you know, most modern distributed systems account for silent corruption. One such example is Apache Cassandra. Um, yeah, but again, if you do it right. Again, one of the things you have to think about, like with the corruption, because again, like with a lot of this stuff, what you're not thinking about is what if people are specifically engineering the corruption to do the most amount of damage? That's what you got to be thinking about. It's not the question of is there corruption. It's what if people are engineering based off of known weaknesses to maximize the damage. Again, you take very smart people. Some very smart people build shit. Other very smart people learn how to fuck shit up. Right? Let's see here. The competent man for $1. Don't forget the extra $600 per week and unemployment ends. And the half on evictions will also be over. The halt on evictions. Still 40 million out of work. Expectation is another rescue package for around 2 trillion will be passed next week. Gold over 1900 and silver 23. Yeah, I don't know. They keep throwing money at the economy. Maybe if we throw more money at the economy. I don't know. It's all gonna go to shit. It's all gonna go to shit. Because if we're not building stuff, we gotta build stuff. I don't know. TP for $2. In my training, it was always no backup, no mercy. And again, for small systems. For small systems, yes, no backup, no mercy. But again, when you're dealing with large infrastructure, when you're dealing with large infrastructure, I mean, you can't exactly, I mean, what is the backup for YouTube? Oh, yeah. We back up YouTube at least once a day. We have incremental YouTube backups. Yeah, we have a tape. It's about this big. And we do incremental backups every day of all of YouTube. So, let's see here. Low-tech dumpster fire. CIA agent dressed as a homeless person. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, I mean, again, like, or you may just have people in the company. You may have ex-military in the company that are more than happy to provide services. Like again, I think that's what, like one of the big problems with narrative. One of the big issues with narrative in the modern world is everybody thinks that they can control narrative, right? We are saying the story and everybody agrees with us. Police is bad, government's bad. Somehow 60 people getting shot in Chicago is good, but sending federal troops to try to help things out, that's the Gestapo. Anyways, right? But there's this idea of like narrative. And like one of the things you do have to be thinking about, like with these tech companies, is like where do loyalties for your employees actually lie, right? There are a lot of people that want to be the Captain America and like for whatever reason can't. Again, I got chucked out of the army for a bum wrist. But imagine if I wanted to be Captain America. Remember, imagine if I wanted to be Captain America with a bum wrist. And then again, I have a good view. I have a good view about a lot of the agencies. A lot of them, not some others. right? I used to have friends, right? The whole nine yards. And so imagine if I come out of the military. I've been out of the military for like a year and a half. I'm good with coding or whatever else. I go get put with the company. I go get put with Yahoo or Cisco or whatever else. And then I'm going out. I'm having a beer with a buddy. Literally, just having a beer with a buddy. Going, kicking back, having a beer with a buddy, going, oh yeah, how are things going? And buddy is like, oh yeah, I just got picked up. Got picked up with the agency, whichever the agency is. Got picked up by the agency about 6 months ago. Yeah, we're doing this interesting project with X, Y, or Z. If you still had your clearance or whatever, you'd be really interested in this. Be like, oh. But then again, like what happens if you're sitting there and you're trading beers and the guy's like, yeah, we're really worried about X, Y, or Z. We're really worried about X, Y, or Z. And the thing is, man, I'm not supposed to tell you this. But we know they're using your company's infrastructure, right? So yeah, remember with your buddies. Remember when you were over in Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever else. Remember the fuckers that took out your buddies. Yeah. Well, apparently their friends have realized that they can use the communication system that your company is offering in order to communicate, do X, Y, or Z. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. There was hey, you hear about that? Hear about that explosion over in Bali or whatever a couple weeks ago? Yeah, it wasn't a that wasn't a transformer going off. That was a bomb. That was a bomb. And we know we were able to collect the material from the folks afterwards, and we know they were using your company's communication system in order to transmit the instructions. It's a hell of a thing. I mean, think about that. That's harsh, man. That's harsh. Remember we used to carry a weapon? Remember we used to try to protect people? Yeah, yeah. Fuck. Fuck. You're making six fucking figures a year. And the bastards you're making that money from, they're allowing that shit to happen. Oh, that's fucking horrible. I mean, I don't. Man. If there's anything I can do, is there? I'm just saying. Is there anything I can do about that? I mean, I know what you guys are dealing with. It's like, well, I mean, we need to figure out. We have a couple more people. We do need to understand what their communications are. I mean, I'm just saying, if there was a little box in the network, you know what I'm saying? If somebody just plugged a little box in the network, we could understand what's going on. I mean, I could save a couple of lives. Damn. You got one of those boxes? Right? I think everybody thinks things work in a weird way. I do wonder sometimes if people have actually met other human beings. What do you think about it? Again, it's not necessarily about millions of dollars. Not necessarily it's about like, ooh, I am concerned about what my company's. Again, think about what these Facebook people. Think about these Facebook people. I mean, these Facebook people are literally signing petitions, to get their CEO to do X, Y, or Z. All right, so 1,000. I think it was 1,000 or more. 1,000 or more Facebook employees have signed a petition to get rid of hate speech on Facebook. Right? As I always say, like with 1% of everything. So if you had 1,000, so what if there were 10 people? What if there were 10 people out of that 1,000 that were simply willing to go just a bit farther than signing a petition? Oh, but anyways. Some like X-Men, some like Avengers, some like Batman, some like Superman. Fair enough, I suppose. I like the X-Men. I don't know what that says about me psychologically, but I like the X-Men. So anyways. You are talking about Prism. Aw, is that all you know about? Is Prism all you know about? Sure, Prism. Sure, Prism. That sounds like a good word. That's a good word. Oh, yeah. Anyways, you think about that. You think about like NSA is like $6 billion data center. NSA data center. How much did that think Utah cost? Yeah, it was more than 1.5. That was 2013. It got up to like $6 billion at one point. But yeah, Utah Data Center, also known as the Intelligence Community Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative Data Center, is a data storage facility for the United States intelligence community. Was completed in May at a cost supposedly of $1.5 billion. I swear I thought that was closer to $6 billion. But I'm just saying that's just their data center. It's like when you spend $1.5 billion, theoretically, I do believe it was around $6 billion on a data center. Well, then you have to fill the data center up. It's like buying a house. It's buying like a house. You go out there, you buy a $2 million house. If you're going to buy a $2 million house, then you got to start buying the furniture to furnish the house. If you're going to spend all that money on a data center, then you got to start spending some money to furnish it with all the data that you need for your center. Anywho. I guess we can start screwing with some code. So we're going to go at 3 o'clock today. Gonna go at 3 o'clock. Is it raining yet? Gotta go out and sweat. So it shouldn't be raining at 3 o'clock. Oh, it's horrible, man. It was horrible. I was at like 198.2 yesterday. Very sad. So today I've got to run. It's my wife's night. It's my wife's night for special dinners. So every week, one of us does a special dinner. So last week I did a special dinner. Now this week it's her turn to do a special dinner. So basically I have to get off of here at about 3 o'clock so I can go do my run, and then I can stop sweating and being disgusting, hopefully, for dinner and cocktails. Oh, running right now sucks. Because it's in the 90s. It's in the 90s, and then it's Maryland humidity. So literally the heat index is like 102 degrees. I'm just happy to get the run done. It was so funny. Like for the first while when I was starting my runs, for like the first couple of months when I was doing my runs, like I was getting better and better and better and better. Like I kept getting my run times down. Like I was like, yeah, I'm getting faster. I'm getting better. And then it turned summer. And then it turned to 101 degrees with the heat index. And now I'm just gagging. So I'm just happy to be done. My run time, I have literally lost like 30 or 40 seconds per mile in my run time because it's just so fucking hot and sweaty. It's like, anyways, how to reach out to you. If you push hard enough on your monitor, you can come over to my side. Just put your hand on my hand, and I will transport you here. Don't do that. That's stupid. That doesn't work. You don't reach out to me. You don't reach out to me. I don't want to be touched by weird people. You, my friend, are a weird person. You are a weird person. I don't want to be touched by you. Thank you. But no. The Competent Man for $1. PRISM is a code name for a program under which the United National Security Agency collects internet communications from various U.S. internet companies. The program is also known by the SIGAD US 984X9. Cost $20 million in 2013. Is that all it cost? Damn, that's cheap. They're doing PRISM on a budget. So anyways, there's lots of stuff out there. They're just collecting your data. They're just siphoning it up, putting it away. They're like little data hoarders. Have you heard about that with like customs and border patrol? they're now doing this thing, right? So there's this whole question about whether law enforcement can collect license plate information willy-nilly, right? So with the Constitution, there's a big question with license plates readers, where the government can put license plate readers, and then how long they can retain that information. So basically, the Border Patrol went, well, this is a pain in the ass. That's a pain in the ass. So what we're going to do is they just decided to start buying license plate information from private companies. So, this is a curious idea. So if you have private companies that are collecting all of this information. So again, remember, the Constitution is between the government and the citizens. Citizens, not people, citizens. So between the government and the citizens. So the government is not able to collect license plate information. But if a private company collects said information on their own, and then the government simply buys access to that information, well, we're just buying a software as a service. So there are a lot of questions with the whole data collection and all that. Just realize, Trump knows when you wank. Trump knows when you fap it. Fap it good. Just the next time you're fapping, oh yeah, for all the teenagers out there, the next time you're fapping, just realize Trump is watching you. when you're sitting there with that weird cuck porn or whatever the fuck the kids are watching nowadays, you're looking at that weird ass porn or whatever, just realize when you're looking at the porn, Trump is looking at you. That's right. He knows when you are fapping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. Oh my God. I can see like the health department or whatever. We don't know what happened. Sometime after the end of July 2020, everybody stopped having sex. We have no idea why Americans stopped having sex after July 2020. It's like, because Eli put into their head the idea of Trump just kind of sitting in the corner. Good technique there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you feel comfortable about government surveillance, just think about Trump. Just think about Trump watching you fap it. And then ask yourself, are you still that comfortable about digital surveillance? Let's see here. Eli, thank you for your work. I enjoyed your videos for years and continue to enjoy it. Cool. Glad you enjoy it. So anyways, is the person fapping it worse or the person who watches the guy do it? Which one is more pathetic? I don't know. I don't want to watch somebody fap. Can you imagine sitting there watching some 14-year-old? Can you imagine that? You know, like when noobs get into any job. You know how noobs get into any job? They always have like the shittiest job there is. You know, so if you get hired at a restaurant, you'll be stuck on washing dishes for the first couple of months. Can you imagine like the brand new noob intelligence officers? The brand new noob intelligence officers that come in, their uniforms are all, stark. Their boots are spit shine. They're like, yeah, I graduated the top of my class of, whatever academy. It's like, oh, good. Then we're going to need somebody of your caliber for your first duty assignment. Oh yeah, what's that? You're gonna spend the next 2 months watching 14-year-olds fap. What? It's like, well, here's the thing. These are the children of very significant people in our society. And so we're having some leaks of information. So we have put cameras into these kids' bedrooms so that we can see if the kids are in fact eavesdropping on the parents and then somehow letting that information out to the public. So what we're going to need you to do is we're going to need you to watch these 14-year-old boys for the next 2 months to see who might be the leak. Now, of course, they're 14-year-old boys. And, well... So basically what that means is you're going to be watching 14-year-olds fat for the next 2 months. Oh my God, that should be a Seth Rogen. That should be in like one of these Seth Rogen movies. Somebody come in, like a brand new intelligence agent. Like, oh my God, they didn't tell me it would be so bad. Like, oh, Christ. At least I amuse myself. I amuse myself. I don't know if I amuse anybody else, but I do amuse myself. Did you hear that New York is going to pass a bill canceling suspended license for unpaid fines? From James Shackelford for $5. Are they doing that? Yeah, I'm sure. What was that? New York. Let's see. Suspended license. News. There we go. Driver. Okay. New York license suspension reform bill sent to governor's desk. Oh my God. Michael Motorist. The New York Senate joined the Assembly in passing the Driver's License Suspension Reform Act on Wednesday. According to the state, the vast majority of New York driver's license suspensions are for traffic tickets that residents cannot afford to pay. The new law would end license suspensions due to traffic debt while making affordable payment plans available. The plan consists of either 2% of a person's monthly income or 10% or $10 a month, whichever is greater. The reform would also reinstate licenses for people who currently have a suspended license due to traffic debt. Between 2016 and 2018, New York issued nearly 1.7 million driver's license suspension for traffic debt. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, what do you say? What do you say, Michael Motorist? What do you say? Yeah, so basically, like, so if somebody's speeding and they get a fine and then they don't pay the fine, their license gets suspended. So now if they're speeding, I don't like, I mean, here's where I would say, is if the fine is for maybe nuisancey type things, maybe, I don't know though. But again, like, so if you're fining people, again, this goes back to the law enforcement reform, right? Like, if you don't want people to pay the fines, then why are you giving out the punishments? That's the bigger question. Is New York City too tough on traffic enforcement? That's a question, right? Because here's the weird thing, right? So what you're saying then is that the fine and the enforcement is legit. So you're saying it's good. We don't want people doing these actions, and therefore we are going to create punishments to try to prevent people from doing these actions. So what you're saying is that is true. That equal true. But then if they don't have money to pay if they don't pay the fines, then you suspend their license because they're not paying the fines. So basically what you're saying is you're having people that are driving incorrectly. They're then not paying the fines, so therefore you suspend their driver's license because they're not driving well. Like, that seems all kinds of... You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like, why are they getting pulled over? Like, if you have somebody speeding, if you have somebody doing 25 miles over the speed limit in a neighborhood, and you fine them, then you want them to be punished so that they stop. So if they get fined, and then they get fined, and 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 then nothing, there is no real punishment there, Why should they not speed through neighborhoods? You know, that's, yeah, I don't know. I can't talk about New York. I mean, what am I supposed to say about New York? New York's fucked. I don't want anything to do with New York City. Bill de Blasio said it best. Bill de Blasio said it best. It takes a special type of person to do business in New York City. Yeah, yeah. And that type of person is somebody who wants to shove 14 people into what we call a hallway. The special type of person to do business in New York City is willing to shove 14 employees into what I call a hallway. I'm just not that type of person. I don't understand. I don't get it. Yeah, it seems weird. Uh, hmm. So anyways. Um, FAP. FAP it go. Okay, let's do a little code. Let's do a little code. You want to do a little code? I've been working on this little project today. So I've been playing with Dig. You want to see Dig? Oh, I know you want to see Dig. Let's not do Dig here. Let's do Dig over here. So I've been playing with Dig. So what Dig does, Dig shows you information about companies' DNS. So we do Dig, Facebook.com. Let's see, is this actually Dig, Facebook.com, there we go. So we get a lot of information, a lot of DNS information about Facebook.com, right? So basically you use this command, dig, and dig will get information, and then you say what kind of records you want. So it can give you the MX records, so these are the mail records. It can give you the name server records, so these are the name servers that Facebook is using. It can give you text information, so basically the text stuff that they have. It can give you the A record, so what IP address you're being routed to, and so this kind of information. So I've been playing around with Dig a little bit. So like you can do, let's say here, Dig, Eli, the computer guy.com. Suppose if I could spell computerguy.com, and then you could say any, and so it shows you, here's an A record here are my name servers, here are my MX records. And this actually, Dig is kind of a cool tool. I'm going to do a class on Dig because if you're having problems with your DNS, or if you're having problems with your cloud services, it might have something to do with DNS. And so what you can do is like Dig. So let's say if you're having email problems. So you're pretty sure your email server is working properly. You're pretty sure things are working properly, but you don't know why you're having issues. So what you can do is you can say Dig, Eli, the computerguy.com, and then you can simply say MX, your mail exchange records, right? If I could only type. Okay, there we go. And so then this pops up the mail exchange records. So we got Google here, then Google, then Google, then Google, then Google. So like, what if when I was transferring my email services from GoDaddy to Google, what if at the 20 position, I had left GoDaddy's email servers there. So for some reason, every once in a while, Google's first server is offline. And so then when it goes to the second server, your fallback for your MX, or for your mail, what if that is a server that you're not communicating with? So basically, all of your email is just getting dumped into a black hole. So that's where you can do stuff like this. Let's see, I don't know. If we do Dig, Salesforce.com, you can do like A records. Gotta give me the A records. And interesting things like this. Yeah, this is what I want to show you. So with Salesforce, right, they actually have multiple A records. So the A record is where what IP address you're going to be going to when you go to their website. So you can see here, they actually have 4 A records. So 136.147.57.1, 40.2, 41.2, and 56.1. So if certain people in your environment are having issues getting to Salesforce and others are not, it may be because possibly wherever they're getting routed, whichever IP address they're getting routed to, there's a problem. Like one of the interesting things that I saw is, so if I do ping, -c1 Salesforce.com, right? So if I ping once, salesforce.com, so here I am resolving to 136.147.56.1. Now if I go here, let me do the terminal, let me give the preferences, change, okay, so it is up to 30. Let me close terminal. Let me close terminal and open terminal again. Well, let's give me, there we go. So here, if I ping sales, ping C1, salesforce.com. Yeah, see, this resolves differently. So look at this. So basically, these computers are literally fucking sitting side by side. Like what? like I have like one computer here, and I got like one computer here. And an interesting thing to notice is this is resolving to 136.147.1, and the computer literally sitting right beside it is resolving to .56.1. And so that's one of the interesting things that you can do with Dig is that you can use it to pull out DNS information. So if you're having weird issues, like DNS, if you're having weird issues, it's probably DNS, right? Like if you have a failure, if shit's just failed, then you probably can figure out what the failure is. But like DNS is one of those things that just fuck with you. He'll just fuck you. It's just tongue will touch you in the weird places. So anyway, so I've been playing with this, and so what I've created a little bit of this code. So you know me, I like the fancy shell exec, and then I've just been creating a web-based dig system. So here basically this shows me the MX records. So this is the MX record for Facebook. These are the text records. This is the name server. So I've been able to clear out some information for the name servers. This is the certificate authority. This is the A record. The A record. These are the quadruple A records. This is for your IPv6 address. And then we have the SOA record down here. And then I have the var dump. So basically this is the var dump that I'm using to go back through and try to clean all this crap up. So I guess we will work on this today. Eli, after Red Dead 2, you should play The Last of Us 2, third-person open world. I don't want. Here's the thing, boys and girls. Here's the thing. I've kind of had a bit of a hard life. I mean, I sit here and I smile because, again, I don't know what the hell the point of sitting in a corner and crying is. But, you know, again, as I've talked about before, my mother, like, killed herself through alcoholism. Like, bad. Like, oh, so fucking bad. like, oh my God. I thought there were worst case scenarios. One thing I've realized is I'm not imaginative enough. I am not imaginative enough about how bad shit can get. So anyways, like, my mother killed herself through alcoholism. My wife has had 3 cancers. Lots of stuff. And so for me, I don't know why all this misery shit is so fucking entertaining to people. Like, I don't understand. Do you people not know suck? Do you not know suck? There's like this weird thing. We have this weird thing in modern society where, like, people have been so deprived of suck that they're now paying for it. I mean, like everything I've heard about The Last of Us 2. Like, I don't give a shit if the protagonist looks like a boy or whatever, right? But basically what I've heard about this is, like, the father figure that you care about gets brained with a fucking golf club, and then you're killing like, look. I'm not going to tell you to vote for, and I'm not going to tell you what video games to play. But there is nothing about The Last of Us 2 that sounds enjoyable. It sounds like a horrible game. Like, hey, do you want to feel worse? Are you not feeling shitty enough? Have you seen the coming depression? Have you seen the plague? Have you seen everything going on in the world? And you still kind of feel okay? then I have a game for you. If you're not depressed yet, if you're not ready to swallow a bullet yet, if you're not ready to take that 25-cent solution yet, I have a game for you. Yeah, there's nothing about The Last of Us 2. That's just like, that sounds horrible. Again, you play it. I'm not sure. Is having fun? You have fun? Do you have fun playing Last of Us 2? I don't know. Yeah, there's this weird. Like, I just don't understand like the modern world. It's like people are like looking for like this. Like that's one thing I didn't understand with like The Walking Dead. I like the first season of The Walking Dead. I feel like they could have done like a mini series of The Walking Dead. I feel like they could have done a 10-part Walking Dead mini series, and that could have been it. That could have been it. But like I was watching The Walking Dead for a while, and it's like with a lot of these shows, I give up on them. When I gave up on it was there was a cute girl. So there was a cute girl, and there was the Chinese like guy, Chinese American. He's the American guy with Chinese attributes. Got to be politically correct. Anyways, there was like this one episode where they get like kidnapped, and then the people that like kidnap them are like literally going to rape the cute girl. And I was just like, again, I have known many women to get raped. There is nothing good about rape. I mean, I don't feel like I have to. I don't feel like I have to really explain this, but there is nothing good about rape. There is not. Again, a good old fist fight. Good old two guys get into a fist fight. Hey, that's some good old fucking fashion fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing good about rape. There is nothing you come out of rape from and go, ah. What I learned from that experience was don't get raped. That's the only thing you learn. Anyways, and so it was like, yeah, so I don't know. The cute girl was about to get raped. And I was just like, I'm done. Click. I've had a long day working. I've had a long day working. I've been working on my house. I've been being with my wife. I've been doing all this stuff adults need to do. And when I sit down to watch a TV show, I don't want to see the cute girl get raped. Like, there is not an ounce of me that's like, oh, look, the cute girl's gonna get raped. Oh, this is a good shot. No. So, that's just my opinion on it. I'm just like, what? Like, what happened? What happened to Matlock? What happened to Matlock? What happened to Murder, She Wrote? What happened to gay? I remember when gay TV was still pure. I remember. Remember those days? Remember those days? I miss those days. Remember when people weren't getting raped on TV? I was watching a show with my wife. I was watching, was it Rain? Anyways, there was one of these stupid shows. It was a fucking stupid show. Fucking stupid show. All these little sexy teenagers running around pretending to be royalty or whatever. And so we're watching this show because my wife likes medieval fantasy type stuff. And so we're watching this thing. And again, same fucking thing. We're sitting there, we're watching this show. And then they take the princess or the wannabe queen. I don't know. They take the main female character and they just fucking rape her. Hey. You know what would make this episode a little bit more interesting? Let's rape the girl. I was like, what the fuck? Oh. This is not amusing. And then my wife was so funny. Because she was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, what? You don't have sympathy? The woman got raped. And my wife was just like, that's not... She was like, there wasn't even a fucking point to that. That was the worst part. Like, my wife, the woman in the room, was like, there wasn't even a point to that. That didn't help the story. It wasn't interesting. It didn't like make anything. All they did was like, oh shit, we've got an extra 5 minutes to put in this episode. Oh, let's rape the main character. I was like, fuck. Anyway. That's where I just don't understand this. Mom is just like, yeah. Like, why is this fun? Why is this fun? Stop raping people. Think IA for 10 US dollars. Eli, have you reached a level in life where food is a tool to you, or do you enjoy different types of high quality food? I recently bought some A5 Wagyu. If you did not have your wife, OMG, it's magic. No, I like good food. I like good food. No. Food is more than just a tool. Again, like I say, we have we have special meals. We have special meals on Friday. I really liked, my wife figured out a way to do fried ice cream. That was awesome. Like not fried ice cream. She literally put the ice cream into balls. And then she took like sugar, and it was like sugar and cornflakes and butter, margarine, and like cooked it in a pan to brown it, and then literally rolled the ice cream in that. That was some good stuff right there. So no, I like good food. I like good food. But, during these plague times, I can basically get noodles and beans most of the time. During the age of plague, my food is a bit more limited. But no, I do like good food. Do like good food. Notice that sex is inserted into a storyline for no reason. Good writers have been blacklisted. Yeah, they're putting so much sex into stuff nowadays. And the worst part is, I don't know what to do with like the transgender sex. I don't like transgender sex. Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you? I'm gonna be honest with you. If you are a transgender, by all means, have as much good sex as you want. I am not trying to shame transgender people having sex. If you just want to do things, fine. But like again, yeah, there's so much sex that are now being put in the shows. And like the weird thing what I find was I was watching that Another Life. I actually didn't mind Another Life. I like the main actress, Starbuck. Anyways, I can still dream of another Battlestar Galactica. Anyways, so Starbuck was in there, and then they have this whole cast. And then one of the members of the cast is transgender, which is fine. Again, cool. And again, I think that's actually a good thing. I actually think that's a good thing. It's like, okay, let's have just plop in a transgender kid. I think it's a doctor. Like, just have a doctor that happens to be transgender, right? Just roll a fucking die. Right, okay, we got an engineer. It'll be a woman who is Asian. Cool. Okay, we got a doctor. It'll be a transgender that is Filipino. I actually think that's good. Again, for like diversity and all that kind of stuff, I think that's great. Again, just drop in people to roles, right? And then again, if people get used to that, like if you sit there and you get used to watching a transgender person be a doctor, then, when you get a transgender doctor, you're probably going to think less of it. Again, there's this whole argument about that Morgan Freeman was really the first black president. So there was a movie years ago called Deep Impact. The impact of it was actually more than its success in the movie theater. But basically the idea was an asteroid was going to hit the planet. But anyways, in Deep Impact, Morgan Freeman was the president of the United States. And there was actually a lot of good argument under the concept of, by having Morgan Freeman in such an authoritative role in kind of a movie that everybody saw. Again, it was one of those, if you didn't, nobody saw it in the theater. But if you wound up seeing it sometime, it's like, wow. I guess a black person does look pretty good as a president. A presidency kind of fits on a black guy, right? So there was actually an argument, literally a real argument, that Morgan Freeman actually helped pave the road for Obama because people got used to kind of that look, right? Anyway, so I'm all for that. I am all for. You want to put a transgender doctor on a spaceship to find other life? Cool. Oh God. And then there was like the love story. I think it was a fat guy. There was like a fat guy who then becomes attracted to the transgender. Again, okay, that's fine. Hey, you got a little attractiveness. You got a little attraction thing going on. And then the physical stuff happens. I'm like, I don't want to see this. This isn't like, I don't want to see this. This is like, I don't want to see this. Hey writers, you understand the point of showing boobs in movies, right? See, showing boobs in movies during the 1980s was the way to get teenage boys' asses in seats. It titillates. Boys want to see this. And so you find a less than clever reason to have boobs shake around on the screen. And since kids don't have Pornhub back in the 1980s, you get kids in seats. Here's the thing. Again, I am not shaming anybody. I want to be 100% clear. I am not shaming anybody. I don't want to see transgender sex. No part of it's not like, so that's how they do it. It's like, no. Look, you have the transgender person as a doctor. I am all for that. The transgender is a love story. I don't know. Kind of felt like you were shoehorning that in. Fine, what the fuck? I don't want to think about. I don't want to think about. This is not titillating. So, I think that's the thing. Like, they're shoving so much of this, like, weird sex stuff. And, like, the gay sex. I don't know. Like, I don't mind Constantine. I like, what is it called? Heroes of Tomorrow. What is it called? Fuck. Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow. I love Legends of Tomorrow. And let me tell you, Constantine, I love the character of Constantine. You just leave it. Look. I get it. He likes a black guy. Yay! Constantine loves a black guy. Great. I don't need to see all that shit. That's not titillating. Not titillating. Tell you what. If you take off the gay sex scenes, you can also take off the not gay sex scenes. Can we just take off all the sex scenes? I would rather have no sex scenes than fucking trans. And they're just putting these things on, like, oh yeah, this is what people want to. No, I don't care what Constantine does in his bedroom. Fine, Constantine wants to be bisexual. Great, let him go be bisexual. I don't want to fucking see it. Stop. But anyways, but that's my thing. Roll the dice. Cowboy and gay. Roll again. Assless chaps broke his back. There we go. I actually don't think it's like I say. I like seeing again have different types of people. Again, I travel the world. I like traveling the world. I like having diverse experiences. But again, there's like so much of this stuff that I feel like gets shut. Like that's one of the things with a lot of the gay sex stuff. I've seen that in movies where it's just over the top. Like I don't feel they would do that with a straight sex scene. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this weird stuff with some of the gay sex where it's like I just feel like you're going like overboard. Like, and like stop. Anyways, let's see here. How will the ratings hold up when they don't make an issue of it? Lol. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Like I guess that's the thing. So many of the like the blue check marks, they really like the issue. Like apparently, I saw that stupid movie. I guess it's a superhero. I don't know what the fuck it was. The latest one with the Immortals. The latest Highlander. The latest reboot of Highlander. There can only be 1,567.4. Anyways, I saw the latest reboot of Highlander with Theron, Charlize Theron. Anyways, and like I was reading something beforehand, and it was talking about. I guess they had done a movie theater screening of this thing, and then there's this kissing scene between the two guys, and they're all. And I guess people were like clapping in the movie theater. And I saw the movie, and I saw the two guys kiss, and I was like, oh, okay, like, what? I mean, I don't know. It's not titillating. I don't know. Oh. Of course they are going overboard. That's the unholy point. Yeah, but I just don't. Again, these movies are supposed to be enjoyable. Like, I feel like that's the thing. Like with Last of Us 2. Apparently, why you're supposed to play Last of Us 2, because I have no interest in playing Last of Us 2. But apparently, you're supposed to play Last of Us 2 because it makes you so uncomfortable. It's like, why am I gonna play again? Like, and that's where I feel like with a lot of this entertainment now, and that's what I find weird. As somebody who's lived a life, as somebody who's actually been and seen planet Earth, and seen people die, and seen people get thrown through the chipper shredder, and seen all the kinds of nastiness. Like, I look at entertainment, and like, entertainment should basically be entertainment. It's like, oh, like a little bit. Like, oh, I never thought of something that way. Um, but I feel like nowadays, like, so much of it is like shoving. And so I don't want this crap shoved into me. No! No means no. I don't want it shoved into me. Like gay guys, get your fucking ball sacks away from me. I don't want a dick. Don't. I've been around enough gay guys. Fucking swatting the dicks. Swatting the dick. Get the fuck away from me. No fucking means no, you goddamn bastard. Anyway. Um. So, anyways. We need arcades back too. Arcades. Anyways, let's do a little bit of coding. Oh, I got 4 minutes to code. 4 minutes to code. I don't know. Maybe I won't code. Maybe I won't code. I only got 4 minutes left. Then I gotta go run. What's the temperature now? What's the temperature? It is. Oh wow, it's 82 degrees. 82. No. Oh my god. That'd be a joy. Hold on a second. Oh, it's not raining. That'd be amazing. Oh, it does not feel 82. It feels much warmer than 82 out there. But anyways, I'll take 82. I will take 82 over 102 or whatever it's been. Yeah. 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 Remember, boys and girls, when you get on a scale and you realize that you're 5 pounds overweight, deal with your 5 pounds overweight then and there. If you are 5 pounds overweight, in 2 short weeks, you can get rid of that extra fat. When you get to be 40 pounds overweight, oh, then it takes a long time. Did it rain on your run last night? No, didn't rain on my run last night. Rained the day before. So the day before I was not able to run. Last night it didn't rain. I was supposed to do 3 miles. So I have this promise to myself that I broke. So my idea. So I run 2 miles every day. Try to run 2 miles every day unless it's raining. So I run 2 miles every day. So my thought was, if my weight is above what it was the day before, basically then I have to run 3 miles. And so my weight was like 0.2 above what the day was the day before. So I was going to go run 3 miles. But then I got out there and I was running. And it was like 101, 102 degree heat index. And so I just decided to cap it at 2. I was like, well, I am doing 2. So I'll keep it at 2. So yeah, I did run yesterday. Eli, do you have advice for those who are starting IT businesses? Do I have advice? Sell something somebody wants. Sell something somebody wants. And if you figure out what that is, tell me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know in this modern world. Burned out. I'm a burned out computer geek. Parsing dig. Parsing dig outputs. Yeah, I don't know. I think shit's gonna hit a fan. I think this shit should have hit the fan about 2 months ago. Like, that's where I'm scared. Because I just feel like shit should have hit the fan about 2 months ago. And so it hasn't fully hit the fan yet. So I'm kind of worried. I feel like we're getting a backup of shit. I feel like we should have been getting shit on for a while now, but we haven't been getting the shitting on that we should have been getting. So I feel like there's something like that's backed up, and so I think we're gonna get a backlog of months of shit that's gonna pour on our heads. That's what I think's gonna happen. So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen with the tech industry because so much of the tech industry is built on fluff. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm honest. I'm honest. It takes too much energy to lie. But so much of the tech industry is just completely and utterly built on bullshit. Um, we basically stopped creating anything interesting a few years ago. It's true. It's true. And so yeah, I'll be curious what happens with tech past this. Like I feel like we've had a lot of innovation. But like because a lot of people say, well, Eli, you were wrong. You were wrong with tech industry or whatever. But I feel like for the past 10 years, we've had stupid investment in the tech industry. We've had all of this money being dumped on stupid, stupid, stupid projects. Stupid projects. And so because all this money has been getting dumped on stupid projects, that's kept a lot of professionals afloat when I would argue logically a lot of shit, a lot of the profession should have died. And so that's my question now with what happens when the economy tanks, when the investment money gets pulled out. I mean, you got to think about SoftBank selling ARM. I know it's probably like, oh, ha ha, SoftBank selling ARM. But remember, SoftBank was going to take over the world. That Vision Fund, you have to understand, if you go back 3 years ago, that Vision Fund was supposed to be a fucking paradigm shift. Again, this is why I say don't listen to any of these bastards. All these lying bastards. The Vision Fund was supposed to be a massive paradigm shift, essentially on how industry gets created. The idea that SoftBank and Sun could come in, make these outsized multi-billion-dollar bets on startup companies, and essentially will these startup companies into success. Right? There were a lot of people that viewed that and thought that was the future. And so again, one of the things you have to think about is copycats. Again, that's where I talk about like with Groupon. Groupon back in the day, people thought that Groupon was going to be the new way for commerce. Everybody was going to do Groupon, right? There were Groupon clones, there was Living Social, money was going into Groupon, Groupon, all the way up until Groupon failed. Groupon is, what, $2 a share or something at this point. And so one of the things to be thinking about is for a long time now is that there were massive investments into the tech scene. Then you had Vision Fund come in and do massive, just fucking outsized, $100 billion fund into the tech industry. And then people copycat it. Hey, look, if Sun is putting $100 billion into startups in the tech industry, what that means doesn't fucking mean a goddamn thing, but that means, and so they were dumping money in. And so you had all of these people pretty fucking blindly dumping massive amounts into the industry. And then again, if you're a founder, if you're a CEO, and you're essentially handed $1 billion, then you're going to go out and you're going to hire people with that $1 billion. And I think this just starts inflating this industry. And if you talk with so many people in the industry, they're doing the equivalent of coding paperweights. Like how many coders can really sit back and be like, yeah, what I did today, that'll matter in a week. And so that's where I worry with like the tech, and I don't know. Sell something that somebody wants. Sell something that somebody wants at a price point they're willing to pay that gives you something you can live off of. Because, if I was pessimistic about the tech industry a year ago, right now it's like, nah. Because I think that's a big thing. Like with the IT, I think IT tech is basically plateaued. And when you really think about it, right? Again, like I've got a Mac Pro, right? I've got this insane Mac Pro that's sitting right beside me. But honestly, if you look at this Mac Pro, it's faster. It has more storage. But like there's no massive innovation here. Right? The desktop computer I have sitting beside me is simply a faster version of the desktop computer I built 11 fucking years ago as my video editing computer. It's got a faster processor, it's got a faster graphics card, it's got faster. But there's no massive, like even with my software, nowadays, so many times I'm running versions of software that are like a year behind whatever version I'm supposed to be running, even though I have a maintenance contract. So like with Wirecast, I buy their support services, and with other stuff, I buy the support services. But I will be using an old version of the software, even when I have paid for the new version of the software. The reason I'm not running the new version of the software is because I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. The 15 minutes it would take me to upgrade to the new version is not worth it to me. It's like, I could upgrade to the new version in 15 minutes. Yeah, I've got better things to do with my time. Because it works fine. Use it every fucking day. Don't have a problem. And I think that's like when we start looking at the tech end. Again, like one of the coolest things. Again, one of the things I've been happiest about is this little motherfucker. This is a Raspberry Pi 4. This is the 4 gig version of the Raspberry Pi 4. This is fucking awesome. This is like a $45. It's a $45 computer with 4 gigs of RAM in it. Quad core, like 1.2 gigahertz processor. It actually works really well. I have a class on it, so you can see. I literally installed Ubuntu desktop on this thing, not Mate or whatever the fuck it's called. I installed Ubuntu desktop on this thing, and it literally was working so well that I was using it as my lab machine for a while, simply because I didn't want to bother to spin up the actual desktop machine. It was like, okay, well, I'll install Ubuntu desktop just to see what it's like. And then I installed it. And I'm like, oh, look, it's actually got pretty damn nice performance. And again, we get to the IoT world. IoT. How many people actually give a shit about IoT? I'm a computer guy. I can buy whatever the fuck I want. I can literally buy whatever the fuck I want and write it off for the IRS. I have nothing IoT in my house. Well, other than my HomePod. I guess that's IoT. Literally, the only fucking thing in my house. Yeah, so I've got a smart TV. So I've got a 5-year-old smart TV, and I've got my HomePod. Woohoo! Those are my only IoT devices. A tech guy who makes money talking about tech, who gets to write off the tech products that he purchases, and I have no IoT in my house. Why? Because I really don't give a shit. And I think that's like the kind of where we are with the tech industry. So anyways, you're just gonna get timed out. You should try rendering your YouTube videos on a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it's okay. It might actually be able to do it. To be clear, there is some kind of there is a Linux video editing suite. I actually think it would render my videos after a while, after a bit. It would just be a little bit slower. It would render it, I think. Oh, so anyways, how do you write it off? Put it under the supply fees. That's a weird thing too with taxes. Remember when computers used to be fixed assets? Like you'd have this whole schedule for writing off your computers. Now the computer's like $45. The computer costs less than my lunch. I'll just write it off. So Anywho, think IA for $6. The real business problem is that innovation and inventions take actual talent and luck. You don't get it by just throwing money into for-profit businesses. Yeah. That's the big. Again, there's that big argument that basically we don't have enough good investment right now. So one of the arguments with people investing in Uber and WeWork and all that bullshit is that there's not enough good investment. I think there's actually a point to that, but I don't know. Eli, are you interested in home automation? Don't you want iPhone controlled lights and curtains, a smart fridge that will order more milk for you, or Star Trek doors throughout your home? No. I really want none of those things. I really do not care about any of those things. You know the cool thing about a light switch? You know when you install a light switch, it'll still be a light switch 100 years from now. Again, having lived in places like West Virginia and all that, you go in and they'll have like the 80-year-old wiring. Like my dad's old house. My dad's old house had like the wiring from the 1920s, and they had these weird little, like these little push button light switches. So you push this and it turns on. You push this, it turns off for the lights. And so again, so these were like 80-year-old. I mean, back in the day, they were like 80-year-old light switches. And you know the cool thing about those 80-year-old light switches? When you press this button, the lights turned on. And then when you press this button, the lights turned off. You want to know why? Because when you have an 80-year-old light switch, all it does is turn shit on and off. And it will do that forever and ever and ever until you replace it to get it up to code, because those were a wee bit old. But yeah, no, I don't want like all this automated stuff, right? You know, after you've had it for like 5 years, all of a sudden, you know, they're not doing firmware updates. I think that was like with Lowe's. Lowe's came out with their own home automation system, right? So they came out with their own home automation system. People bought into the home automation system. Then, surprise, Lowe's decided that home automation was not synergistic with their retail environment. So they dumped their home automation system. So they just turned it the fuck off. All this equipment that people had purchased. And then it's like, well, you know, you've had it for 3 years. It's like, what? What? No, I want a light switch. Click, 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 click. That's my opinion. The Bridgestone 85 for $20 said absolutely nothing. The Bridgestone, you know how to get to a man's heart. You know how to get to a man's heart. Just give me $20 and say absolutely nothing. Yay! Oh. So anyways, I've got to go run. So then I can eat some good food and drink some good alcohol. I really like margaritas. Oh, get good tequila, good Cointreau. I guess all Cointreau is good Cointreau. Tequila, Cointreau, lime juice, ice, a bit of salt. So I'm gonna go run. Drink a margarita. I'm gonna eat some food. I'm going to another week. It is a weekend already. That is insane. So anyways, I'm gonna go. If you want to see classes, do realize EliTheComputerGuy.com. I do still upload the classes. They are there. I did this IP geolocation project, free IP geolocation API with IP InfoDB. So I put this video up this week. I'll be putting up more videos next week. So it's in front of the paywall. So you can watch the video. You can grab the code. All of this is in front of the paywall. If you want to support what I do, you can join. You can join, and for $5 a month or $60 a year, you can help support what I do, or you can donate. You can just toss a couple of dollars in so that I can still eat when this big depression comes. Or not, as I say. You do you. And yeah, we'll work on this project. We'll work on Dig. We'll work on some Dig next week. Anyways, okay, with that, I'm out of here. See you later.